Hello everyone, Zelrant here, and today I noticed that Siren, or Little Mermaid, has her current kit available here, so I thought I'd kind of go over that alongside Mori's as well and kind of give my thoughts on it. Now, I'm only going to be kind of comparing it to the people that I'm currently using in kind of her spot that she would be replacing within my current kind of team setups, as I'm still relatively new in learning everyone's kit and where she completely fits. But I think I can give a little bit of information based on what I can read here as I've started looking at all the character skills. Big thing I see with Siren is that she is, so the type that we saw before, that she is a supporter, weapon being the submachine gun, burst skill 1, and wind type. Right off the bat, I do like what I see with the burst skill 1 and wind, simply being that I'm working on the interception anomaly right now and kind of building my team around being able to beat or get as far as I can on Kraken, since he is the easiest one, and I want to keep pushing him until I can basically completely do his anomaly so that I can get the maximum rewards from that. And I've been using Asuka with Rai, and they can take up the other two positions of the burst, and so then she is another wind unit that can take up burst 1. So right now she just looks good on just that fact alone. But when I kind of look at her kit here, she looks like she's not just a straight supporter, but also a damage dealer. Um, so she has the 3 skills as well alongside her burst, the passive. So you have Bubble Order. This one activates only when in focusing status, affects all allies. Focused fire continuously. Okay. And then you have activates when full burst ends, affects all allies. Cooldown of burst skill is reduced by 7.48 seconds. I'd really like the reduction of burst skill. I've already got the feeling of that as I played towards the end of the chapters in the story, where I believe it's Leader, who I have right here, has a cooldown of your burst skill as well. I can really feel the difference when I was using somebody else that did not have cooldown reduction, and it was super annoying. So I think that it's extremely useful on that. And kind of Leader's kind of the one I'm looking at in terms of my campaign team on whether or not she would replace. Because right now I'm using Rappy Red Hood in her Burst 3 capacity alongside Leader. But there's always the option that I could replace Leader with somebody else and then have Rappy Red Hood take the Burst 1. So I'm kind of comparing her to both of them in that capacity. But I overall like that cooldown reduction there. And then you have activates when entering full burst, affects all allies attack damage plus 4% for 10 seconds. The one thing I noticed with that is it lasts for 10 seconds on it versus Leader's kind of buffs that are only 5 seconds. But overall, it's a lot shorter in capacity, or it's a lot smaller on the damage buff, at least from what I can tell. So that one's kind of, I don't know, 4% seems fairly low. But you can let me know in the comments if I'm completely wrong on that capacity. But it has that, and then activates after total ammo consumed by all allies reaches 400. So this looks like it might synergize with a team that expends ammo extremely quickly. But affects all allies, fills burst gauge by 37%. So not only do you have the reduction in time, you can also fill it significantly quicker if you're able to expend those 400 ammo really, really quickly. So I do like that. So that's all like support capacity there. But then you have the second passive one here, Bubble Wave. Activates when the enemy appears, affects the target, bubble damage taking 5.05% continuously. So as soon as they appear, it seems like they basically have this damage dot, or whatever you want to call it, on them, where they're continuously taking damage. I do like that. That'll be really nice when you're kind of clearing maps, especially if you're really high CP in comparison to them, because that to me sounds like that's just going to be able to keep things dead fairly quickly. Then you have activates after landing for 50 normal attacks, affects the target if the target is in bubble status. And so this one seems like the target you're actively attacking with her will be getting this, and that's explosive bubble damage taking up 5.05% continuously, so even more damage there. Stuns for 3 seconds, and then removes bubble. So if you do, after you start attacking them though, once you ignite this, you're going to lose the bubble status from this one, but it's going to stun them for 3 seconds. So once you start attacking them, it's going to give you that stun. And then as you're attacking them, you still get that damage. It's just coming from you actively attacking them versus this passive one there. So that looks pretty nice with the stun. I don't know, if the stun seems like it'd be very situational, but I have fought in the campaign where there's those mobs that are super annoying, that if I could just stun them for a couple seconds, it would make it a little bit easier to survive through, especially when I'm at a lower power level. But I'm not sure. That still feels like that'd be very situational because I don't know how important that's going to be when there's a lot of enemies on the field all the time, especially when I'm doing the where I'm at a very large deficit. Then you have activates every 1 second only during full burst, affects random enemy units. So I don't really like the idea of random, but at least it's attacking enemies and helping clear them, and it's every second during full burst. Deals 63.36% of final attack damage. Attack sequentially for 4 times, so a nice chunk of damage there. Activates each time total animal consumed by allies reaches 500. Affects random enemy units. Bubble barrage deals 85% of final attack as damage. Attack sequentially for 10 times. So this one, this is another one where you have the damage here, but I see that total ammo consumed by allies, which is 500. So it really feels like she's wanting that team that expends ammo quickly with both of these ones. So don't know how that really impacts on like the different weapon types she's going to pair well with, but I do know like my machine gunners, I know with like Asuka, she can just dump tons of ammo into the enemy. So that one feels like that's going to be really good for units like that. I mean, Rappy Red Hood as well has, with all of her ammo, can dump a ton onto the enemy, but it may not work well with members that have smaller magazines, and that's not kind of their focus. So very good for those teams there. And then Bubble Barrage, yeah, we've already that deals 85% of final attack as damage, attack sequentially for 10 times. Then you have her burst skill. When she activates burst, affects all allies, attack damage up for 10.13% for 10 seconds. Reloads 32 or 33.26 of the magazine. Overall, I really like that. I mean, that seems really important, especially for your units that have very large magazines. So I think our whole kit is kind of focused around that. Now, I can see that there's other units like that in here, and that's why I'm kind of comparing her to Leader, where she has basically the ammunition capacity, which is important. That makes it where it's now you have a very large magazine, so you can expend more, as well as the sequential buffs to critical damage and attack, as well as other buffs there. So I don't know how much better, or if it actually even is better to have that versus just having larger magazines within that scope. But that is nice that now it can reload it, so you don't have to take that extra time. So it kind of does increase it to a certain extent. But I think that is going to be very beneficial for your units that have larger magazines. And then affects self attack plus 17.28% of caster's attack for 10 seconds. So she just gets a nice little buff on her own attack there as well. Overall, I really like the kit. Looking at discussions within Discord, like I joined one for my union and all that. Doesn't look like she's comparable to the other units just from quick glance. Now, nobody knows the true details until she gets fully tested, so I know a lot of people are waiting for the testing to come out for those that really crunch the numbers and all that to kind of get a feel for how she works. But overall, she really looks good as a support. I'm almost certain she's going to fit well into my team, though, with Asuka and Rei, and just being able to get farther on Kraken. So I will definitely be investing in her for that, because I want to be able to complete, like, I'm only able to get the stage 4 on interception right now. I'm hoping she can push me over the edge, especially once I increase my level after the campaign and use all my core dust, that I can actually complete Kraken and get the maximum awards every day when I do the interception anomaly. So I think she'll be really good for that, but I don't know where she's going to fit in the core team, if she's a replacement for a leader or not. I'll just kind of have to see on the testing there. But overall, I do like the kit, and who knows? I mean, I like her looks better than leader. So even if she's not better than leader, I may just replace, just for the fact I like her better as a character overall. So that's one thing when it comes to these games too, is she just looks better overall. So definitely want her instead of leader if I can. Then you have Mori here, the burst 2 defender. She's wind as well with the assault rifle here. Now, one thing, I've kind of looking through her kit, she really is very defensive in nature when I'm reading it. I don't really know how important this is in terms of where she could fit in there. Now, from my understanding, since she's a free character, their free characters they've given in the past generally aren't good in terms of the meta, so I'm not fully expecting much for her. But kind of looking at her kit here, we can see her first one, a Mole in Hiding, Activates when entering battle, affects self. Struggle creates a shield equal to 40.12% of final max HP continuously. And then activates when the burst skill, when using burst skill, affects self if not in struggle status. So she's not in that. She'll get struggle, creates another shield. So basically, she gets her shield back on using the burst skill. And then when it ends, max HP goes up by 5.06% continuously, and that stacks up to 5 times. So now she can increase her max HP continuously after the struggle ends for her. You have her skill 2, All Out Support, activates after landing 60 normal attacks. When self is in struggle status, affects the target, taunt for 4 seconds. So taunt making it where they can focus fire her, so you can draw damage off your team. So I do like that there. And then activates when the parts of any ally, including the caster, are destroyed. Affects all allies. Sustained damage is increased by 2.03%. Stacks up to 5 times and lasts for 15 seconds. So that's nice there. Activates when the parts of any ally, including caster, are destroyed. Affects one enemy units with the highest attack. It deals 23.23% of final attack as sustained damage for 1 second. So that's some damage based into the kit as you're destroying parts on the enemies. So that's nice right there. I really don't know how that compares to the others at this point, though. But I'm guessing since she is a free character, this is probably not as good as you can see with the others. Then you have her burst skill itself. Activates when self is in struggle status. Affects self. Recovers shield HP equal to 15.04% of casters max HP, and then activates when self is not in struggle. Max HP is increased by 10.09% for 10 seconds. Sustained, and affects all allies. Sustained damage up 10.16% for 10 seconds. So overall, just your kind of standard tanking kind of kit and a little bit of damage in there. I don't see anything too crazy in there, because one thing I really like that I see with, like, when you see in units like Siren here is she has a lot of damage within her kit, and the numbers do look overall bigger than that, but she also has a lot of support stuff that I really like. Burst 1 is kind of that one that I feel like was more flexible looking at the units for building my team. The one thing is, I don't know how Siren compares into Leader, other than, because, I mean, the numbers just look bigger on Leader overall, but Leader is like full-on support all the way, while she has damage built into her kit as well. So I think we may see some kind of shifts on your teams that you want to build with the meta units up here. And then when you kind of look at your burst 2s, I mean, you have Crown, who is your burst, like, she's pretty much the one I've been using in all my teams as my burst 2. And she's not going to beat Crown. I know that for sure. Crown is crazy good, and then she needs her unit. She just basically needs the unit that gives her her heal to trigger her ability there. So, yeah, overall looks pretty good. I'm definitely going to like getting her and trying her out, playing her alongside my Asuka. Well, not this Asuka, the bossing Asuka Shikanami, as well as Rei, where I don't know where they put her on the tier list here. But Rei, the one that you pair alongside her, I feel like that is going to be a good combo, so that I can finally start finishing, hopefully, that intercept anomaly on Kraken, and that way I can maximize my materials per day. Now, we don't have Mahara's kit yet from what I've seen. People are saying that we're probably going to expect that tomorrow, so I'll kind of go over that tomorrow when we see that. But that's just kind of my thoughts on it. I think she looks good overall, but it's ultimately going to come down to those that once she's tested out and she gets added onto like the tier list and we kind of start seeing how teams shift to really know where she fits in the meta. And I'll kind of do a follow-up once I see that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. If you like my content, if you could like, comment, subscribe, it really helps. And thanks for watching.